Howdy, welcome back to my channel. I'm back with a part 2 of my April book wrap-up thing. If you recall, one of the last videos I think I did was the part 1, and I'll link that one down below so you can check it out. It's real good, and I talk about books that I read, and my goal this month was to read 20 books, and I read 15, which is 5 away, but not too bad since I was kind of in a reading slump for a little bit. So yeah, let's talk about the books that I read for the second half of April. So all the books that I read after the mid-April book thing were all 3 stars or 4 stars, which is not too bad. No 5-star books yet, but I have high hopes for May since I have a few books on my TBR that look promising. So we're gonna start with the 3-star books, then the 4-star books, and then I'll tell you what I'm currently reading, because why not? So the first book that I read, these are all from the library, by the way, because libraries are awesome and support your local library. The first book that I read is Jess, Chunk, and the Road Trip to Infinity by Kristen Elizabeth Clark. This is a book with a trans protagonist. It is pretty good. It involves a road trip. It involves some nerdy best friendery, I guess. Overall, I thought the book was decent. This is also the same author that wrote Freak Boy, which I did review, I think, before. I could be lying. But, this author actually has a trans child, and so, it's not an Own Voices novel, but it's pretty close. And I do really like the trans rep in this. I think it's pretty good. I don't know. The book was okay. There were some parts that I felt were a little lacking. Some of the character development was a little lacking, and I wanted more out of the road trip aspect. I thought it would have been like really fun, and it was kind of like and the characters kind of got on my nerves a little bit, but overall this was a decent read. It was a very quick read, and gave it 3 stars. The second 3-star book that I have is from Twinkle with Love by Sandhya Menon. This is the same author who wrote When Dimple Met Rishi, and I gave that, I think, 4 stars. This book follows Twinkle, who wants to be a director, a filmmaker, and it is all written as like a diary to a bunch of female filmmakers that she kind of like writes to instead of writing in a diary. It's a love story. It's pretty good. Again, I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars because it was okay. There was some character development that I felt was missing, and Twinkle really, really, really pissed me off. I wanted to just yell at her all the time. She didn't have a very strong personality to me. I felt she was kind of disposable, and a lot of her actions I was like, are you serious? Like, nobody is that stupid. So it really bothered me a little bit. But I do like the writing style, so I am going to be picking up her 3rd book, but I don't remember what it's called. But yeah, I am going to be picking up her 3rd book because I really do like her writing style, and I want to get into all her books. I really enjoy them. I really enjoy the way they're written. But yeah, this one was a 3 out of 5 stars. It wasn't as great as When Dimple Met Rishi, but I still have high hopes for this author. Now on to our 4-star books. The first 4-star book that I read was Two Can Keep a Secret by Karen M. McManus. She wrote One of Us is Lying, which I despised. I used to have a review of One of Us is Lying on this channel, and I deleted it because it was just like a dumb video. Like, I didn't like it. The video, I mean, it was just like bad editing, and I was still getting used to like the YouTube thing. So, not that I'm a professional whatsoever, but anyway, this book follows 2 twins in a town who whose aunt disappeared long ago, and every like 5 years or so one of the homecoming queens disappears or is like murdered or something, and one of the twins wants to figure out like what's happening and why they keep disappearing, and like what's linking them all together. This book was way better than One of Us is Lying. It kept me on my toes the whole time. It wasn't a super long book, but I finished it all in like 3 hours. I really, really, really enjoyed it. And I was thoroughly creeped out I did guess the plot of this book. I guessed the majority of it. I didn't guess the whole plot twist, but I did guess parts of the plot twist, and but it didn't really ruin the book for me, so that was kind of cool. And the main plot twist I didn't guess. The last line creeped me so much out that I made sure my doors were like extra locked and was like hiding next to John because it was super creepy. But I really enjoyed this. So if you didn't like One of Us is Lying, or if you did like One of Us is Lying, I highly recommend you give this a chance. Also, I really like this cover. I think it's really cute, creepy and cute. Then my next 4-star book was Queens of Geek by Jen Wilde. This book is super nerdy, super geeky. It takes place at a convention. There are 2 love stories in this book. One is a queer female romance, and then the other one is I think it's just a regular like heterosexual romance, but it is real good. I liked it. It takes place at a convention. It takes place over I think 2 or 3 days at the convention, and it's really nice. I don't know, it was really cute. I felt like it was lacking a bit that didn't push it to 5 stars, but I did enjoy it overall. And I flew through this one. I really like books that take place at conventions, but it wasn't my favorite book that took place at a convention, I guess. If you want to know more of what I mean, I do have a blog post where I talk about geeky books that I really enjoyed, and I will link that down below too, so you can check that one out, because I feel like that will make more sense. This book has a lot of like Tumblr references and fandom references, and I love books that have those. They speak to my heart, and I did enjoy Jen Wilde's writing style, and I'm going to be picking up her other book. I forgot what it's called, but it's coming out I think this month. So yeah, it sounds real good. This book was pretty good. 4 out of 5 stars, not bad. And then the last book that I finished this month was Slayer by Kiersten White, and this takes place in the Buffyverse. I did start this book in February and then put it down and then never picked it back up because it was a library loan, and so now I rechecked it out from the library and I finished it, and this book was really good. I am a huge Buffy fan. If you like Buffy, you will like this book. And this book follows a girl who, after the magic is destroyed in the universe, after Buffy destroys magic, essentially, she is a watcher. If you watch Buffy, or if you know anything about Buffy, you know who the Watchers are, essentially. They're like Giles. They take care of the Slayers. She's a watcher, and she lives with other watchers, and they grow up in this like castle with other watchers, and like this is their whole thing. And then something happens, and I'm not gonna really reveal what happens, although it's not really much of a spoiler, but I went into this pretty blind, so I'm gonna do the same for you. So something happens, and this whole mystery comes out, and though I was pretty on the nose with the plot twist of this book. Well, the main plot twist of this book, there are a few more twists and turns in it, and it was so well written that it didn't bother me, that I already knew kind of what was going to happen. I really liked all the characters. I thought they were all super developed, and I thought they were all like very unique. I liked the family story in this, and I liked the it would flash back into sort of a dual perspective, but not really. And obviously, if it's a huge love story to Buffy, and if you love Buffy, this book is perfect for you. There is going to be a sequel. I think it is called Chosen, possibly. I'm really excited for that one, because this book ended on a really big cliffhanger, and I have to know what happens next. So yeah, I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. And then what I'm currently reading is Max by Sarah Cohen Scully. This book obviously is historical fiction, and it takes place in Nazi Germany, and it follows a kid named Conrad from his conception essentially to, I'm not sure where because I'm not done with it, but it follows this kid named Conrad who is born in this program where Nazi Germany is essentially trying to create the perfect German specimen by having what they've deemed perfect women and perfect men procreating and creating perfect babies. And so Conrad is actually one of these babies. It's called Max, but his name's Conrad. It's kind of hard to explain. Conrad is one of these babies, and he is essentially the perfect German specimen. And it's obviously super graphic, super heartbreaking. It's really, really difficult to read, but it's a very good, powerful book. I can feel this being a 4 or 5 star read so far. And I only have about 100 pages left, so I'm probably gonna finish this today before work. But yeah, this is a really, really, really good book so far. It's really, really heart-wrenching to read. There's a lot of detail, a lot of graphic stuff happens, obviously, but it's very important. And the only thing is I don't like to read it in public because I feel like people are like, what are you reading? But yeah, it's really good. It's divided, I think, into 4 or 5 parts, and each part takes place, and it's really scary because you're reading all of this through the perspective of Conrad as he's growing up. And so, I mean, these things are occurring while he's like 6 years old, and if you're imagining like this stuff is all horrific, but you're also imagining this through the eyes of a 6-year-old who is being indoctrinated into this lifestyle, and which I think is the most scary part. It deals a lot with like on the back, The Guardian actually says it deals a lot with doublethink, and I think it's very, very true. There's a lot of, they say this, but they mean this, and Conrad understands, like, when they say relocation, they mean kill somebody, and when they say that person's been this, they mean exterminated. And he grows up in this world where he's not seeing things for as dark as they really are because he's being fed propaganda. And so it's really, really, really freaky. But it's also, I mean, this is pretty true to history. So if you can stomach it, I do highly recommend this book so far. And I will be talking more about it in my May wrap-up probably, since hopefully I'll be finished with it today, and today's May 1st. But yeah, those are all the books that I have read in April and that I'm currently reading, and I will see you in the next video. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you then. Bye.